let's take a look. Yeah. So we did that. Okay. So now, okay. So let's talk about sales. Okay. Unless there's any specific questions that have come up from what we
No.
discussed. No, we're good to move on. Okay. So what I'm going to tell you, these are sales truths. Okay. Regardless of what you're selling, regardless of who you're selling to, as long as you're a human and you're selling to another human, okay, what we're going to talk about is like sales, the archetype of what sales is, right? It's really important to understand that when you're selling, and I'm going to do a lot of jumping around, but when you're selling, you're not selling your school. Okay. Now, even the word sales and selling, it brings up things in people's minds. Okay. And it can be like, most people are like, "Oh, I don't want to do sales, right? I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to be a used car." Everyone thinks about used car salesman.
Mhm.
So that's not, those guys are not selling. They're tricking. Okay. That's the icky part of sales. And by the way, like I originally come from my first sales in the world of sales was in music. I was originally a jazz artist. Okay. I have a degree in jazz performance, and don't ask me how I got to doing what I'm doing now. But so I was always natural with sales. But all my musician friends, I would see them like they would do a show or something. And this is back in the day when we would have CDs and we would try, they would, oh, I'm let this joining. And we would, I'll just wait till she joins here. The doorbell. Okay. Sorry. They'd do the performance and then they would stand there on the stage and sheepishly, apologetically say, "I'm sorry, I'm trying to sell you my CD. If you want to buy one, oh, don't forget it. I'll just give them to you." You know what I mean? They're so afraid and feel bad about asking. So that's something that we just have to get past, right? There is no business or anything that exists without having to ask people for something. And ideally, the job of marketing is to get people, like by the time you're actually in the sales position with somebody, like ideally the marketing has done a good enough job that they're already pretty interested in what you have to offer. Like they have a good understanding of what you have to offer and they're pretty interested. Okay. For example, before we talk to somebody, they've gone through like an hour-long webinar on the topics that it's just a free educational webinar where we're giving for free valuable information that will help people. It's obviously, it's more about, this is like the what you need to do, not exactly the how, because the how takes a lot longer to understand. But at least the what is, hey, you need to go in this direction instead of that direction. So that's our marketing. And the truth is, I think schools can employ that too. Hands up.
Yeah.
Is that a yes or is there a question?
No, I want to just say, yes, I think we need to go in that direction because
Mhm.
I just met a couple of people who are marketing, who are competing, who I'm going to do an affiliate program with Collegiate Prep. And what blew my mind was she had all these free programs. And then I asked her, "How are you monetizing it?" She said, "Oh, believe me, when they do free programs, they have to register. So I get them into my ecosystem.
Mhm.
Then eventually, when I charge them for my a la carte program,
Okay. So
and
that's
I would love that model for us."
sure. And that makes a lot of sense for that program. You would take a slightly different approach for a brick and mortar school.
Okay, that's what.
Yeah, but it actually is already built in. Like essentially, once somebody inquires, they start getting a series of emails. That's the idea. Those emails should be taking the webinar and breaking it up amongst a series of emails. Okay, and that that we can certainly develop that.
Okay.
And okay, so myth number one, you're selling your school. That's not true. You're not selling your school. You're not selling enrollment. You're not selling your program. Okay. What you're selling when you're speaking to a parent is the vision that they have for their child in the future. Let me just make this a little bigger. Actually, hold on a sec. Sorry, I'm presenting this the wrong way. I just got to fix this. Okay. So I think I might have brought this analogy up, Nandini, before. If you think, just to illustrate what I'm talking about and make it really clear, let's say you're stranded on an island in the middle of the ocean and you just want to get home, right? You don't really care. Let's say somebody comes by with a sailboat. You're not going to quibble about, I don't want to go on a sailboat. I want a helicopter. You don't care. Even if somebody comes by with a boat and it's a great boat or it's a helicopter, you're not going to be picky. You're not thinking about the specific how I get there. You're just like, get me on something that gets me across the ocean to my family. So it's the same thing with your parents. Okay. There's different options. There's different schools. And then they did what I was talking about with the IB program and stuff, and whether that should be really pushed on the front end with the ads and et cetera. And maybe yes, but also potentially it might be better off not to be pushing. So I have to tell this a lot to people that have Montessori schools, because their mistake is they sell their Montessori school almost like a cult, like a religion. Like you go to their website and it's just like Montessori, one of us, one of us. You know what I mean? It's like those parents aren't looking to be sold on Montessori, and your parents, there might be, this isn't 100% true for everybody, but I'm sure there are parents looking for IB, like specifically, of course, right? However, there's a whole lot of other parents that are families, and likely more families, that aren't specifically looking for this one feature or this one particular methodology, but they're looking for just the best place for their child that's going to get them to like the vision they have for their future, right? Like, of course, somebody might already be pre-sold on an IB program, but good. And they're going to find you. You don't have to run ads to get those people. Okay. They're going to be searching IB programs, and they're going to find every single program. And you know what I mean? And that's what's an important thing to understand is like your ad money isn't best spent promoting the thing that people are already going to go search for and find no matter what. Okay. Your ad money is best spent finding the much larger market that is just looking for a great place for their kid that's going to get them to a great future. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So how do we then talk about, like, how do we know, like, once somebody comes in the top of your funnel, they've opted in, right? How do we know, where do we go here? Sorry, I'm jumping around. Okay, one sec. Oh, you have to apologize. It's a little clunky because teaching this to schools is a new one for me as well, as far as the process here. Okay. I have to dig something up. There it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over how we qualify our customers, right? And then we're going to translate it together for your school. So I'll just show you my script, and then we're going to put the script I'm going to copy it actually. One sec. The reason why we're going to copy is because this needs to go the same way. What works is what works. This is designed for how humans make buying decisions, not how it's different specifically for your school. And why isn't this as easy as it should be? Sorry. Okay. Resharing. Okay. So when we are talking to somebody after they've gone through our webinar and everything, and they've booked a demo, and this is when they show up for the demo. So this is somebody that's opted in. So in your case, this is the parent that has given you their contact information, and we're now at the stage of whatever the next stage is, like qualification stage, opting in, qualification, and they've shown up, right? So they're already showing that's quite a lot of labor and interest, which is good, right? Okay, this is how we work. Hi, Nandini, how are you doing today? Great. So this conversation is going to focus on you. Before we get into it, I'll just quickly share a little bit about myself. What am I doing here right now? We call this, again, marketing is about building credibility and trust. And what we want to do is flash our badge, right? If it's your case, hi, my name is Nandini. So let me just share a little bit about myself. Or it could be, Hi, my name is Brittany. Let me tell you a little bit about our school. Before we get into you, which is going to be the focus of this conversation, let me show you why you're so lucky to be talking to us. Okay. Again, so my name's Sano. I'm the director of sales here at Hubley. We've been helping pre-K through 12 education programs, private schools, charter schools, daycare centers, etc., get their programs to capacity with a waiting list and reduce administrative busy work for about 8 years now. Okay. The script is a little old, but so we're currently helping thousands of education businesses do that. And then we actually have, because we have so many Montessori schools and we have these like inroads with Montessori, we have a kind of a specific script for Montessori. And this could be similar to you if you're talking to someone that maybe identified as being interested in the IB program or whatever. So we say, are you familiar with the Center for Guided Montessori Studies? They're the best whiz bang place in the world, and we're accredited with them. This is name dropping, basically. Okay.
Yes.
So we're doing this because, again, we're just trying to set the stage. Now, it sounds like you're bragging and you're doing all these things. This is not about bragging. It's about building credibility. So you have to listen, every infomercial you watch,
Mhm.
right? Like, how similar are they?
Yeah.
They're almost identical. It's a template and they are so over the top and ridiculous. And it's amazing that they work, but they work because if you're clicking channels and you come across an infomercial about a product that you have a product that solves a problem that you don't have, you're just like, why would anyone watch this? But if it's, oh, I could really use that knife set. Wow, that's exactly what I need. Oh yeah. It's like you're like glued to it. You're like, oh wow, that's amazing. Wow, look what it can do. Holy, you can cut through a pop can and it's still sharp, right? So you're interested in this stuff. And why is this guy with an Australian accent moving his hand like that? But this is all science. They study this stuff, they test it like crazy. So you have to use these tools, all right? What you don't want to do is try to reinvent this process. Okay. So you have to name drop. And that's why, again, every landing page you go to has all as seen in New York Times, blah, 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 all these places, best selling, blah. This is all because no one's really looking at that landing page and like taking note, making a list. Oh, wow, they're in this publication and in this publication. They're just seeing, oh, okay, so they're in incredible places. It's just like a check mark in the back of the brain so that this prospective parent will feel a bit more trust and credibility and lower their shield a little bit. Go ahead, Nadine, you have a question?
Yeah. So I understand when we are making these presentations over Zoom, but
Yeah.
wouldn't the whole plan be different if we are doing like a tour?
So we're not there yet.
Okay. So
Yeah.
this is making sure that the parent comes to a Zoom presentation before they make a tour.
Or not necessarily Zoom. It can be a phone call,
Okay.
but this is the qualifying process.
Okay.
So we don't do a demo with anybody until they get through this qualifying process. And
Oh, okay.
this right here is so critical. Okay.
Okay.
Because this this is like a double-edged weapon. Okay. Number one, you'll disqualify them and you're going to save yourself time and stress and resources
Ah,
by not having to do a tour with them. Number two, if they pass through this qualification process, they are considerably more likely to buy your product or service. Okay.
okay.
Because we'll see that this is just the very beginning. There's a lot more to get through here. Okay. This should take,
I just
depending,
wanted to add that this aligns perfectly with our name. Oh, sorry. Yeah. With our Blackboard process that we have, the workflow that we have. So there's an
Mhm.
initial form that they fill, and then we have to
Yeah.
make a call or reach out to them.
Yeah.
And then we do the next step action, send them a Blackboard to create an account and
Yeah.
then start with the tour. And then we ask for a more
Okay.
detailed information and then take them on a tour and then
Yeah.
shadow day. And then that's how we
Perfect.
process. So I think this
Yeah.
aligns perfectly with the workflow we have.
Great. And this is where you need to be incredibly strict and say nobody comes for a tour until they've been qualified.
That's great.
Okay. They have to go through this process. It has to be very standard. All right. And by being so consistent, right? And having this conversation needs to be scripted. Every single parent needs to be spoken to the same way. The reason being is because number one, it's exhausting to have to figure out what to say and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
listen, I know parents are going to listen, parents, you can't control everything, but if you have a script, it's really easy to, if a conversation goes off tracks, you've got this, it's like you've got this little framework to bring you back onto this conversation, right? And making sure it's going in line. Okay. So we flashed our badge. Okay. And then just at the end of the flashing the badge, I say, okay, so you have any questions during the conversation, feel free to just interrupt me with them. Sound good? Okay. So now in order, then we move on and we've got there, by the way, super important that you're getting agreement. Okay. Just like when we start this support, like this session, I go over the agenda because I want you to agree with it. I have to tell you, when you, the reason why we're doing this is because you're going to see that I'm going to be inserting awareness at the very beginning of this conversation that at some point I'm asking you for money. Okay. I'm not going to be doing it right now. I'm not going to get into pricing right now, but I'm preparing you for it. And I'm getting you to agree to this process. If people are much easier to talk to if they agree to the process and don't feel like they're being pulled. And even if they didn't necessarily like want to answer all these questions, you agreed to it. No one's forcing them. No one's forcing you. Okay. So now in order to see if I can actually help you, I need to learn a little bit more about your current situation. Do you mind if I ask you a few quick questions? If we can determine a fit, if we
Yeah.
can determine a fit, super important. If we can determine a fit, I'll show you what we have to offer. Sound good?
Very good.
Okay. So that again, we're going to massage this. We're going to insert the right language for your program, your school. But this is the template. You need to, this is the language we need to have. If we can determine a fit, it's like, it's being very frank. It's being very honest without saying, I don't want you to waste my time kicking the tires. Okay, great. Qualification questions. So the point here, if we go back to the picture of like the person in the island, where they are right now and where they want to get to, okay, this is where we're going to clarify what this is, understand it, and get them, right? Again, we're getting them to think, we're getting their brain to go into to buying mode. That's the point of this, right? Like along with credibility and all that stuff, we're guiding the conversation so that their brain, like their mental, like their neurons are organized in the way we want them to be in buying mode. And by the way, yes, they're not making an enrollment decision until they come in for a tour. The buying doesn't happen till later, but it's still buying decision mode. And we have because you have a multi-stage process, every time you're interacting with them in each position, you have to recalibrate them to be in this mode. That's your job. That's what sales is about. It's about, it's like, who's been to an all-inclusive and been sucked into the funnel of the, what do they call them? The
Timeshare.
timeshares. Anybody here? Yes. Okay. There you go. There you go. Okay. They are, that's what your tour should be like. If you think about that. Okay. Without the regret of, oh my God, what did I get myself into? Thankfully, you're not catching somebody on vacation and trying, these
Right.
people are coming to you. It's different. But essentially, they get you into this room and they've got you captive. And it's really hard to get up and walk out. Like it feels awkward, right? Now, again, it's not to that extreme at all, but it's a different thing. But the template is the same. Those timeshares, it's just a different form of an infomercial. That's all it is.
I like the questions here. Brit, they're perfect for
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So what piqued your interest in the school? What made you want to schedule this call with me? I guess, again, these have to be appropriate, right? These are like, we're talking to schools that
Yeah.
needed help with enrollments, but you can see, we just have to like, what's going on with the parents? Let's write some now. What what are questions that make sense for parents? Okay, so what piqued your interest
Why are
in
you
the
looking
school?
at a new school? Yeah, why?
Yeah, that's always our first question I ask.
Yeah,
What
what
makes
piqued
you
your
look
interest in the school? Yeah.
for inquiry with us?
Okay,
Why
great.
to be?
Yeah, great. So what's
Well,
the next question?
yeah, that's always a feeder. That's the beginning. It says a follow up with why.
Can't hear you.
Where you're coming from is also a very good, tells us its story.
Where are you currently at, you mean?
Yes.
What school do you currently attend?
Yeah. What's your current situation? Okay. Because essentially, what are we really asking? What are your problems
Yeah.
Right.
that
And then
need to be solved? Right. So, so we could call this again. So there's 4 types of questions that are all critical for a sales process. And the more you use these strategically, right? So there's situational questions. How many kids do you have? Where are you coming from? That type of thing. We don't want to ask too many of those. Okay. Because then it's interrogation, right? It's frying, exactly. Then there's problem questions. So that's a question that makes them where the answer should describe a problem. So what's a problem question? Okay, and this is so there's 2 more types of questions. One is an implication question, which
What
is a kind of a follow-up implication.
implication?
So that is a follow-up to a problem question, right? Trying to get them to understand the pain of their problem. And then there's like a payoff question, meaning you take the implication question and you turn it around and say, if you had this amazing thing, how could that benefit you? Or what would that mean for your life? So right now, the most important thing is a problem question. So what's a question that uncovers a problem that they have as a parent? A typical problem question.
they feel that their child isn't being challenged enough in our school that they're in.
Okay, so that's, I
I
guess,
teacher be able to give my child the attention that he or she needs.
you're going to ask the parent. So I'll give you an example. Why are you looking for a different school?
Yeah, that was what I
You know,
thought. Yeah. Because that would tell you all of this.
yeah, just call that a P for problem.
Okay.
And this could also be a problem question. Like what piqued your interest? It could be like, I'm looking for
Or
a school.
does your school have a particular educational philosophy? What is your mission statement to
Or
it?
to ask no, these are the questions you're going to ask the prospective parent, not what they ask
okay.
you.
Yeah.
Because mission and vision means nothing to a parent. They're only looking at whether we can do the magic and their child becomes the best thing on this world. So why are you looking for a different school? Those 2 big questions will give you a lot of insights.
Yeah. And so now what's like an implication question? So what's a typical thing that a parent would say as like
You mean so
a problem?
so
What's a typical problem?
options? What piqued your interest in the school? It could be what the programs in the school.
Academics.
It could be how well some students have done, and so they immediately want their child to have similar opportunities, or if they saw the school doing certain stuff, they want their child. It's either program opportunities for the child is what they want, and also, or it could be the bells, like the accomplishments. So I always feel parents fall under 2 buckets. One, they want accomplishments for their children. 2, they want opportunities for their children. So the implication question would be that.
Okay. So, well, what's really important is that as much as possible, you want them to feel like to be thinking about the implications of the problem that they have before you get them to see the implication gets them to surface to feel that there's an implicit need, right? Oh, like I need a school that has these types of things. And then and that's far enough for now. Okay. When we get into the closing, okay, like getting them to sign the contract, right? We're going to dig a little more if we need to on getting them to really feel the implications of the problem that they have. And then getting them to view your school as the best place for their kid so that they have an explicit need, not just an implicit, but an explicit need. I need this school. Okay. And so right now we're not trying to dig that deep. We're really just trying to qualify. So we're not trying to close them right now. So problems and implications are as far as we need to go. We don't have to dig too far but in any event, okay, why are you looking for a different school?
Jono, would you
Mhm.
be able to share just the overnight so that we can mull over this?
Yeah, I'll share this with you. Yeah.
I need to go in 2 minutes.
Oh, do you? Okay. Oh, it's
The
almost 4
rest
o'clock.
can stay if you don't. Can you all stay? Because I.
I also have until
Okay.
4. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's 1 minute now. Okay. So good. So we'll stick with there. And you could ask, let's see. You could say like, how is your child doing? You know what I mean? Like where they are so does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Now the future situation is where we ask questions where, okay,
This is for the parent, right?
yeah, this is for the parent again. It's
Where would you like your child
yeah,
to
yeah,
to be, or
yeah.
how would you like your child?
yeah. This needs to be as much as possible. Like we want concrete, tangible measurements.
Okay.
What does future
What is
success look
Okay.
like?
I like
So yeah, like
what does success look like for you?
yeah, that's great. That's very good.
That a parent once, Brittany, who asked you for which college the child will go when they
Yes,
start
I always
Yeah.
ask that, and I always do present to them our outcomes on our middle school ball along with the school profile.
Perfect. And that should be stuck before this conversation. That's like when you're building credibility and flashing the badge. That's like the bragging part.
Well,
You know,
yeah,
this is what,
like the top.
Yeah,
prestige,
that's the first part. That's the bragging part.
yeah, that's up here. And
Yeah, I wrote that there.
so that's the type of thing you want to get out of the way. You want to say right up front, again, this is like that sort of like Donald
top
Trumpy kind of, he's going to be tremendous and we're going to be amazing. And right. So it's like, that's where you want to really, yeah. You have to be unafraid to
Be proud of
brag.
what we've accomplished.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. So we're out of time.
Yeah.
This is okay.
Give
We're
it
like,
as homework to us. We will have that for you.
absolutely. Okay. So that's good. So I'll share a Google document with you guys that will have this script. I'll copy it as is and then make some notes for where to make your updates or whatnot. You guys are all smart enough to understand what's going on here. So try to, like, as much as possible, take this and then convert it to your specific school.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
And we'll leave that
This is good.
with you
Gopal.
guys.
This is good. Britt and DJ, good idea?
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
I know
Okay.
for me, Jono, after a conversation, I had a collegiate prep person and I kept pausing. Is this what you
Perfect.
want? And I was like, I couldn't believe how well it went. So
Amazing.
yeah, so thank you there. That worked.
Okay. Wonderful. All right. So I'll send this to you and do a little recap and we'll leave it there. Okay.
Okay,
It's nice to
thank
meet
you.
you all. Until
Yes,
next
me
week.
too.
Until next
Have a good
week.
one.
Thank you. Thank you, Sana.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, everyone.
It's a strange time for you, Sana.
Yeah, it's 1:30. Yeah.
For you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.